magic happening. It's very early in the morning in Amsterdam. And I'm getting ready. I am getting ready to go. Now, of course, I'm going to have to let this stew for a little bit. And of course I got the mug right here, which we're going to give away 5 of these today in the show. So looking forward to that. So, but I'm having my breakfast together with Bob right here. Getting ready to go to Spirit this morning because, like I showed you in 2 videos back, then I just took her out of the water. Before I go, how nice is this one? Oh. So it is a wonderful, wet, cold, gnarly day. Right now I'm walking on my way to the Batmobile. Almost be there. There she is. Across here. Tranced. This would be the Dr. Jekyll side. I mean, that's the Mr. Hyde side. And look here, things are starting to get better. I'm scraping my ass off with my little handy hanging thing. You see the difference really well here. Let's go up. Ready in the day. And as you can see, it is a total mess explosion in here, but that's okay. It's time for coffee and Seawolves. So here we are. Are we ready? Let me press this. I think this has waited long enough now. Here comes the coffee. Delicious. After spending like 3 hours shaving and washing the hall and all this type of stuff, I'm really up for a little coffee break. Look how steamy it is. Ooh, delicious. Are we ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Oh, that's nice. Oh, let me check the sound over here. Yeah, okay, look. Great. So, Wolves, back to the show. Welcome. And yeah, as we've all seen, of course, you see me talk about the finish of the finish with Charlie Dalin at first yesterday. Then, of course, also Boris's fantastic, though yet a little bit tragic, you know, everything that happened finish. But managed to still end in the top 5, and that leaves us with the ultimate ranking of Yannick Besthaven in number 1, Charlie Dalin number 2, although of course he did come over the finish first, and Yannick very very warmly said, look, there are really 2 winners to this race, and that's of course Charlie and him. So really awesome that he really embraced that. And in third we have Lewis Burton. Amazing. I mean, if we think about everything that he went through, you know, his major problem in the Southern Ocean when he actually had to wait for a while, shelter behind an island to work on his boat, and then ultimately getting close several times to actually completely winning it and really taking the lead in the race, but ultimately ending in third. Really amazing, amazingly done. Then of course in number 4 we have Jean Le Cam, you know, one of our, I think, Seawolf favorites. It was looking like he might be 5th, but 4th. Wow! So only just one place away from actually having a top 3. I think it's fully deserved. For me, he is really one of the biggest winners of this race, you know, with a dagger board in Maka. Ending so high and just you know, right among the rest of the most hyper modern foilers out there. So really amazing, and just, you know, of course everything that happened with Kevin Escoffier and him rescuing you know, Kevin when PRB broke basically in half in the Southern Ocean off of Cape of the Good Hope. It really has been quite an amazing journey for Jean, and it's super cool that he's been rewarded in this way with a 4th place. So yes, we can, and really impressed with that. And of course I think you know, many of you still will be very happy that despite the fact that, you know, he probably, if all this hadn't happened, he probably would have been 3rd or even 1st or even 2nd. One of those 3s, I guess we'll never know, but that is also the Vendee Globe. So even though I hate the fact that this happened as much as all of you watching here, I also kind of love it, because that is the Vendee Globe. You know, there are, you know, unexpected, sometimes painful things going to happen, and it's you know, a little bit like real life, right? Where every once in a while something happens where you're like, oh, you know, wish you didn't have to deal with this, but sometimes you just have to deal with it. So yeah, it's a real human race in that sense, and I think Boris took it amazingly well. I mean, I'm sure that he's been, you know, raging inside at some point, of course, but he took it like a real gentleman, and still, you know, top 5 placement for his first Vendee Globe as a non-French contestant. Really amazing result for Sea Explorer Yacht Club de Monaco as well, and I think that you know, he can be extremely proud of his result. It's just really too bad that now instead of, you know, being able to celebrate that he brought the boat back home basically more or less completely in one piece, I guess like many of the other skippers, they do have some repair jobs to do over the next few weeks. So that is the top 5. You know, of course there are several more boats in right now. So linked out of Thomas Rouillant is in. Damien Seguin, of course, also fantastic. You know, if you realize you know, what he's done with the way that he has to sail, I think it's just absolutely you know, brilliant, and also a non-foiling boat, so absolutely amazingly well done. Then of course we have Giancarlo Pedote, also great Benjamin Dutroux, really amazing sailor, and that is basically the top 7 that's in right now. And interestingly, the battle that I was quite interested in with of course Maxime Charal and Armel Tripon, actually let me bring you here into the screen so you can see what I'm looking at here, because it seems that Maxime has really managed to keep Armel at bay for quite a bit actually. If I look at the distances here, we see that Armel right now about 20 or so nautical miles away from that. Cannot possibly be correct. I think there's some kind of mistake. Let me go here to the official map, because what I'm seeing here does not make any sense. So let me grab the official race map in here. Yeah, okay, so the position is the same, but hopefully it makes a little bit more sense here. Yes, so we see that Armel still about 200 nautical miles away from Maxime, and so he really pulled away again finally in the end. And you know, Maxime absolutely amazingly, you know, well deserved 10th place, and Armel trip on, even though, you know, you all know he was one of my favorites to really, you know, get back maybe even to the top 5 at some point. But I think, you know, looking at where he was and his ultra modern boat and just kind of the way that he sailed since kind of the middle of the Southern Ocean, he just started to pick up speed and never really let up, and just sailed an amazing race, hardly made really any mistakes, and just went from, I think he was 19th or something at some point, just past everybody, past Pip, past, you know, like a whole group of boats, one by one, overtaking everybody, similar to something that Charal was doing, only he didn't come all the way from the back, from a little bit less far to the back, and made it actually to 11th place, and nobody really close. Clarice Kramer, you know, quite a bit still removed from him, but so super cool to see him also now getting into the finish and most likely finishing in 11th place. So let's quickly run through the rest of the field in, and then I want to talk a little bit about what happened to Boris and the Fisher man, but I'll talk about that in a second. So we have Clarice Kramer. Actually, let me switch to Vendee here again, a little bit more clear. So we have Clarice here doing really nicely, a nice speed, heading kind of past the islands there. Then we have a long time of not so much happening, and then we find Roman Athanasio and Jeremy Bijou, which I kind of said that you know, as soon as Jeremy would kind of pass the doldrums, that would become a real battle. And of course it's too early to say anything, but personally I do think that Jeremy is going to overtake Roman at some point, and so that puts interestingly enough that puts Charal and Jeremy Bijou right behind Clarice Kramer. And I have to say, I don't think that there's still enough time for him to overtake Clarice. I don't think that that's going to happen, but you know, weirder things have happened. So we'll see what happens, but it is still pretty cool that we have Jeremy now in 14th place, so literally just 2 places behind Armel essentially, and we'll see what happens, but I think he's probably going to move you know, at least 1 place up in there. And then we find, as you can see, a lot of boats all together, kind of the Pip group, as I like to call them. So we have here Ona Bozeris, then Alan Rora, we have Kojiro Shirishi, who has now really overtaken, you know, most of the guys except for the 2 leading men there. We have Stefan Laderijon, we have Pip Hare, of course, and we have Didac Costa, all kind of racing together. They made it more or less past the doldrums. Pip also, the only Didac is still a little bit going slow here, 8.4 knots, but I think Pip is actually, yeah, 13.9, so she's clearly, you know, her speed is going up over the 24-hour, 4-hour and 30 minutes average. So they're back in the speed, in the trades, you know, going for the Azor High and just kicking it all the way back home now. So hopefully, you know, within a week or so, we can expect, you know, them to finish also.
We're back in the doldrums. I crossed the equator 5:30 this morning, and had the breeze, the southeast trade winds, or easterlies as they were, for most of the day, and then in the last 3 hours the breeze has just slowly dropped down and gone forwards, and now it's 45 degrees, so it's northeasterly. I'm just sneaking on and sneaking on and sneaking on and just trying to keep Medallia going. Not the best of directions for me, but the swell is coming in from the northeast, and I've got my fingers really firmly crossed that I might have just crossed straight through into the northeast trades. I'm actually quite enjoying it being cool because it's so overcast. I got quite a lot of stuff done today. It was my most productive day in like 5 days because it's so much easier in the cool for me. And what I didn't realise actually was on the way back this way, because the sun's in the south, there is no shade in that cockpit, none at all. You see this squall that went behind me here? I just now I can hear thunder rumbling off it. Hopefully that'll all stay behind me. I don't fancy a thunderstorm tonight. That really don't fancy that at all. But fingers crossed, this breeze will carry on building, and then we're going to romp away up the Atlantic. Well, it's just gone 4 in the morning, and I can exclusively reveal for all wannabe offshore and ocean racing sailors that crossing your fingers isn't necessarily the most successful tactic to getting through the doldrums. I haven't stopped. That's a good thing. I haven't always been going in the right direction though either. That's not a good thing. Patience. Patience is what is required. Okay, it's 5:45 now. Big bright moon. And we're moving. We are shifting. There's the instruments there. Currently doing 344, 8.2 knots. Even got a bit of a wake out the back. Could this be it?
Then a little bit more, the altitude of Brazil more or less. We have Manuel Cousin, we have Miranda Marin and Clement Gerard, all sailing nicely. So they made it past the, I guess a lot of you were liking my term, the weather spaghetti. Well, they've made it past the weather spaghetti. So they're finally really sailing again. And then all the way in the end, we find here still closely sailing together Arja Heusela and Alexa Berrier, who are kind of in the middle of the weather spaghetti, and I don't think it's going to disappoint. No, if we look at the prediction, we see that is going to remain extremely chaotic, with several kind of no wind barriers for them also in the way, and looks like it's going to be at least, well, 3 to 4 days, I guess, before they start to get anywhere more like 5. I think probably 5 days before they really start to hit the trades in the southern Atlantic again, but doing really nice. And so that's kind of the overfield of the field today, and we're going to keep with it. So a good tradition in the Vendee Globe is that the race only ends when the last boat is in, and generally the last boat gets the biggest crowds and the biggest amounts of boats there, everybody kind of bringing in the last person in the race, which I think is a beautiful tradition. So we are definitely also going to keep doing this every day until the last boats, maybe Ari, maybe Alexa is coming in, so we'll keep an eye on what they're doing. But so I wanted to also talk a little bit about the thing that happened to Boris and the fishermen, because it's again one of those things where if you're not so experienced with sailing, or kind of this type of things happening, you might think like there were a lot of stories in the comments and in the chat also going around with like, a fisherman, no AIS, in the dark, are they crazy, what are they doing? And so I've also in Sri Lanka, when I was sailing the Mini several times, been stuck in nets and having to dodge a lot of fishermen. It can be really annoying. But the reason for the fact that fishermen all often go dark is because fishermen are really protective of where they are fishing. So they are always keeping track of the local, fishing grounds. It's kind of a local secret, and it's also a bit of a Fingerspitzengefühl, as the Germans say. It's like you have to have a bit of feeling for that. If you ever watched that movie with George Clooney, I think, like The Perfect Storm. Also a skipper kind of going to different locations trying to fish. And so the reason why they often fish, of course, at night and at dawn is because that's when the fish come more up to eat. So it's kind of following the schedule of the fish. But the reason why they put the AIS off is because they don't want to alert other fishermen to where they are fishing. So even though it's really annoying, and I know it's a big risk for sailors, because of course we have the skag going into the water, which easily can get caught on floating nets and everything, and fishers very often don't put very good floats on nets, so it's very hard to spot them. And in this particular area, the Bay of Biscay, kind of that sea there are a lot of fishers there, so it's something that's known. So it's also something that Boris, was likely aware of. Let's say that there are a lot of fishers there. That's not a new situation. But that's the reason why. So if you were wondering, like, wow, is this like, a real criminal act or something like that? No. Well, I mean, technically maybe it is, but it's also a cultural thing that is kind of understood, and there's just not so much that any government can really do, because they're far off to sea, so there's no way to really check what they're doing. And so that's the reason why. Like, if you were curious why was a fishing boat out there, with maybe very few lights on, with no AIS on, maybe themselves also not really checking the radar. So that is the one thing that I would really fault them, is you'd expect them to check their own radar, to check their own AIS, and seeing a sailboat coming at 20 knots towards them, should have stood out to somebody, and maybe then switching it on, if they were in ghost mode, but maybe they didn't have an AIS on board. I don't know about that. But anyway, that's what I wanted to say. So, some of you maybe have a little bit more understanding of, what kind of is actually going on there. But that's it. And so we know the top 5 now. I was fully ready to actually, announce the names today, but it's going to be tomorrow, because I have a amazing, I think his name is, let me check here. I think his name is Tim, yes. So we have a Seawolf Tim, who actually went to the trouble of collecting all of the top 5s, reading it out from YouTube, and making an Excel algorithm to kind of figure out what the top 5 would be. But, right now for the yes, we have the top 5, indeed. I have it here in front of me. Actually, let me bring you into the screen here, because you guys can kind of see that way. So how amazingly spiffy is that looking, right? Pretty cool. We have some high-tech nerding stuff going on here. Tim, absolutely amazing for doing this. And so the gold medal for the person who had it right and was first is Peter Robotham, if I'm saying it right. Peter Robotham. So AC, like, please, if I say your name, so if you're one of the top 5s, please send an email to contact@seawolfstv.com, and I'll make sure that the Seawolf mug comes your way. But so the number 1 gold medal had it completely, let's see, 4 out of 5 correct, and was one of the first. And you had, so Peter Robotham, you have your Seawolf mug. Then we have the silver medal for Rolf Schilfer, or Schiller, Rolf Schiller. So Rolf, you are now the proud owner of a signed Seawolf mug. We have David Woodhead in number 3. David Woodhead, yes, David Woodhead. We have Christian Gerth, number 4, and finally we have Johannes Eicher. Am I saying that correct? Yes. Johannes Eicher. So you are the 5 winners, and you can also maybe read it here on the screen if my pronunciation, if I'm butchering your names, but I think I got it pretty good. So one more time. Peter Robotham, we have Rolf Schiller, we have David Woodhead, we have Christian Gerth, and Johannes Eicher are the 5 winners. Congratulations of your very own signed by me Seawolf mug. So please send an email to contact@seawolfstv.com, and I'll make sure that the beautiful mugs are coming your way as soon as possible. And well, as you guys can see, I'm super busy on the boat right now, also shooting many of the things that I'm doing, but that's not for this program right now, but that's going to be in the program solo, about getting my boat even more ready for solo sailing than it already was, and really talking about all the systems for solo sailing, what it takes, how maybe you can start solo sailing, all those type of interesting questions in the new show Solo, which is coming soon here on SeawolfTV.com. So I'm gonna get back into sanding and shaving and all this type of stuff. But thank you all very much. And like I said in the live episode when we had the actual finish, it's been an absolute pleasure, following this race with all of you. 20,500, I think, something like that now. Blown away, really cool, and I love all your emails, all the backers, all the support. So many of you who are proudly wearing the t-shirts and the flags and all this type of things. So I really can't wait for the summer to meet many of you in in different marinas. We'll see how it all goes, but it's been an absolute pleasure. And of course we're going to continue on strong with the different shows like Boats and Solo, and I have several other ideas also coming. So lots of good stuff coming here. Thank you all very much for watching today. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up, please, and leave your comments below. Again, congratulations to the 5 winners of the contest. You are the best analysts of this race, because my god, was this a hard one to predict, but you guys did it, so many mucho respect for that. I don't even think Jean Le Cam could have predicted that, so you guys are pretty awesome wolves in my eyes, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Have a nice day.